I'm JV Dr. Sapna Gehlot and my session is on the social welfare theory of rights. According to this theory, rights are the creation of society, therefore, they should be related to social welfare. The exponent of this theory reject not only the theory of natural rights but also the legal and historical theories. According to them, law, customs, and natural rights should yield place to what is useful or desirable from the point of view of general social welfare. Although Bentham and other utilitarianism were the exponent of the theory of legal rights, their concept of the greatest happiness to the greatest number exercised a great influence on the evolution of the social welfare theory of rights. However, Lasky is the most important advocate of this theory. He holds that rights cannot be independent of society. Rights are condition of social welfare, and the claims inconsistent with the social welfare cannot be recognized by society and become rights. Lasky observed that the individual has no right to act unsocially. He can have no claim to receive without the attempt, at least, to pay for what he receives. Social obligation is thus implicit in this regards. What are the criticisms of the theory? The theory, no doubt, seems to be very rational and attractive and more acceptable than any of the theory discussed. This is a point in the argument that no rights can be claimed against social welfare. But the question, what is social welfare? People have always held divergent views in the respect of the values and adults of life. It is impossible to agree on what is social welfare. Apart from social and political values, religion constitutes the greatest hindrance in the evolving of consensus on the nature and content of social welfare. Similarly, it is not possible to define the social conditions which are supposed to be essential for the development of human personality. The doctrine of the greatest happiness of the greatest number too does not lead to any clarification. It is strongly disputed by some thinkers, and perhaps rightly so, where there exists such a thing as social welfare independent of the particular welfare of different individuals. The individual being an end in himself. It would be totally unjustified to sacrifice him at the altar of so-called social welfare, which is nothing more than a fiction. History is full of instances of despots who have committed untold atrocities on the people in the name of social welfare or collective good. So after this theory, now we'll discuss about the Adalis theory of rights. This theory is also called the personality theory. T.H. Green was the greatest exponent of the theory. It holds that man by nature possesses a moral consciousness which constitutes his real self of personality. The fullest development of this personality or moral self is the supreme goal of human life. Rights are the external social conditions which are essential to the unfolding and growth of this moral self. The theory thus links rights with moral development of man and looks at them from an ethical point of view. The basis of rights, according to it is a moral. They inhere in the moral nature of man. Without rights, it is not possible for the individual to realize his moral self, which is his natural destiny. Thus, rights are the claim of the moral personality of man for its self-realization. But man lives in a society. He can enjoy the necessary rights only as a member of society. Hence, rights are to be understood in the social context. The moral claims of the individual can become right only when they are recognized by the common moral consciousness of the community. The state is created by the social moral consciousness for the protection and enforcement of these rights. The functions of the state is to recognize the moral rights of the individual and enforce them. Thus, according to this theory, there are two sources of rights: man's moral self and the moral consciousness of the community. The state exists only to recognize and enforce them. It is not the creator of rights. That is why the exponent of this theory permit in certain circumstances reference to the state. So, The important feature of this theory is that it distinguishes the moral self of the individual from his evil self or evil will. No liberty can be allowed to the evil self. On the contrary, it has to be suppressed. The limitations of the evil self of an individual does not constitute a denial of his liberty in the real sense of the term. Now, what are the criticisms of the theory? Generally, there are two things in it. First, there is no objective criteria of judging what is morality or a moral personality. And second, it can also be argued that morality is not an inherent virtue of man. On the contrary, history and experience both testify to the evil nature of man. Man is essentially selfish by nature. It is too much to expect from him what he would respect the moral rights and others. If he were, that moral of the world would become a veritable heaven long ago. So